Welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking monk farm builds, and I'm going to start off by showing you the build that I use, but I want you to be aware that there's many variations, not just in the essences, but in the set that you could use as well. So let's go ahead and just take a look. For essences, I'm using Pensive Crown, Enlightenment's Blessing, Shimmerlin, Grace's Bounty, Intervening Law, and Twitching Palm. First off is this trio of Pensive Crown, Enlightenment's Blessing, and Intervening Law. These three work really well together, not just for farming, but dungeons and other content as well. You're going to get increased duration, 25% movement speed, and be able to move unhindered through enemies, which is useful in dungeons. Also going to have the ability to teleport to a target location, granting a shield to you and allies. Now, this works as a buff, so if you're running something like Vithus, this will actually buff them in that regard as well. Another thing with Shield of Zen is that if you have the pieces awakened, you'll notice that as I cast it, the cooldown here, I can basically have a 100% uptime with this. This is what's so broken about Shield of Zen for whale monks, right? This is what everybody always complains about. However, what we're showing it off for in this regard is that ability to teleport. No longer do you have to target a specific ally. You can use it to kind of dash around wherever you want, cut corners, and so forth. Really increases your mobility, great for farming, getting to the next pack, and so forth. Next up is Shimmerlin. Now, I think most people are fairly familiar with this at this point in the game. However, I'll show it anyways. This transforms Wave of Light into a large AoE ability that shoots out in all directions and does surprisingly large damage. For this build, especially if you have some decent character power, this will really one-shot most packs. It might not kill elites or anything like that for you, but you'll be able to finish those off with either Spinning Kick or your primary attack. In the pant slot, we are using the Grace's Bounty. And this is going to transform Flying Kick from the dash that it normally is into just a a stationary circular AoE. This is really good for dashing around, getting inside of a pack, and then using it to take out the non-elites. If you're fighting elites or anything like that, then you can finish them off with your primary, which is where the offhand comes into play. This is going to buff Fist of Thunder, and it's the first strike that it buffs. So if you use that Spinning Kick and then start attacking them, that first hit will be buffed, which can allow you to kill them quicker and just move from pack to pack faster and faster. So there are variations. I typically always leave this trio intact. However, I deviate from it. Every now and then I break it up. If you're using something like Mystic Allies, you can do that in the pant slot as well as the helm. So that is one way that you could potentially break it. You could use something like Companion's Melody. Other options for Mystic Strike also include Traveling Scold or even Branding Bond, and then you can swap Flying Kick out. And if you do that, sometimes the option here is to take the offhand and move that into something like Reaching Rebuke and put Exploding Palm on your bar in place of Flying Kick that was there before. So you have a transformation to the Mystic Strike and then adding in Exploding Palm, and this makes you really mobile but does kind of decrease the overall damage. However, if you typically farm in a group and you're farming with something like a barbarian or a wizard, well, you might need to do something like this in order to keep up. Monk is not the fastest farmer out there, but it does have ways that it can keep up and contribute to the group. And simply keeping up and providing them with Shield of Zen is nice and certainly handy and increases the speed and the performance of the group. For Paragon, I am running Massacre, and this just helps keep up the movement speed as the kill streak's going. A lot of good benefits with the Paragon changes. Everybody should have 100 points in here, so I don't have to go through the tree if you're using that tree to farm. If you still prefer other trees like, say, Vanquisher, that's fine as well, or for the handful of people using Treasure Hunter for Monk. Personally, I don't think Treasure Hunter is a huge benefit to Monk for farming, but you may use it as well if you like. For the build that I use, I run 6-piece Gloom. Now, if you start changing essences, you would want to alter this. So if you were running something like Spokes of the Wheel offhand that is going to buff your damage after using Flying Kick. So say you want to run the variation with this. If your Flying Kick typically doesn't kill the whole pack, well, you still need to do some damage after. So now having this buff here, and if you run something like 4-piece Vithus, that will proc off of this effect as well. So if you're of lower strength, you can use your Spinning Kick and then start auto-attacking or using primaries, and then you'll have some advantage to using a build like that as opposed to the 6-piece Gloom. At higher gear or higher reso levels, 6-piece Gloom is really nice. You've got multiple dashes in the build between Mystic Strike and Shield of Zen, and this will proc the damage buff from Gloom, the crit chance from Gloom. There are some other 2 pieces you could put with it. Personally, I just run the 6-piece Gloom and allow that effect to randomly proc and deal large damage around the targets as well. But you have options. Shalbass is good. Many things. Build super versatile. I'll show you a little bit of gameplay. This is a pretty popular time right now. I don't know if I can find a circle per se, but let me see if I can get some mobs over here and at least kind of run around a little bit. Usually I can get a couple of packs over here. So you can see you can just run in with spin and kick if there's anything left. And you basically just dash your way around. You can come up. Get an ancient here. But you see the damage is solid. Obviously that will vary depending on your own character. But it's mobile. Is it as fast as Barb? No, it's not, like I said. But certainly not every class is. You can see no difficulty keeping up the kill streak. Move around, dash, basically use what's on cooldown. One thing that's fun about this build is it's not that repetitive in terms of what you use. You don't say use 1, 2, 3, 4 like in an order. The cooldowns and the time of them vary, so you kind of actually have to actively manage them, which is engaging and makes the farming a little bit more fun, at least for me personally. As always, feel free to leave comments or questions if you have them. As I mentioned, Monk's super versatile farmer, many different builds you can use. This is just the one I prefer, but even that has some variations. If you're looking for essence ideas or anything like that, hope you enjoy. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.